Absolutely horrible way to end the regular season. You go on the road to Norman, Oklahoma against the number 8 team in the country. You have time after time after time after time to be able to, I don't want to say take the game over, but you have multiple chances to end it. And I thought that the final 3 drives for you offensively summed your entire season up in one bow. You had drops. You had to take timeouts because you were rotating in receivers because, I guess we got to rotate receivers on run plays and passing plays. Like, that's not tipping off our hand. Now that the season's over, I will tell you this. I know of multiple SEC coaches who have told members on LSU staff that they key in on that when you are running the ball and when you rotate receivers, they are tipped off. They know when you're going to run, when you rotate guys in and out at receiver. For example, when Destin Hill, who never plays, when Chris Hilton, who never plays, literally comes into the game, they know you're not throwing the ball. You have multiple drops, one on a third down by on third down by Trey'Dez Green, another one by Barryon Brown, because you know what? We don't know how to get out of our own way. We don't know how to get out of our own way. Now, you get all the way down, you're putting multiple good drives together, then you go for a double or a reverse pass that a defensive lineman tips the ball, and you got a massive reduction. You have a situation where that then you have bad play call after bad play call, that if Michael Van Buren doesn't make a play, you don't get a field goal. Every single time this season offensively, when you had a chance to end it, you couldn't. You couldn't. Because that's just who you are. So out of the last 3 seasons, twice I could make the argument that one of those seasons you had a championship level offense and a championship level defense, and it meant nothing. It will go down in when we look about this in the future. When we look at this 3 years from now, hell, 2 years from now, hell, a month from now, we will talk about, listen, man, like things weren't completely horrible. Like you had championship level offense, championship level defense. You could just never put it together. That's fair. Like, that's very fair to say. But that's why a coach gets fired. That's why the entire, more than likely, regardless who the head coach is, offensive staff isn't going to make it. Maybe besides Frank. Because I know that I don't have like Pete Thamel level sources. I know that I don't have Ross Dellinger level sources, nor do I pretend to. Because I've grown up in this thing with people that I've become really good friends with who are coaches in the SEC. So when you're rotating receivers on run and pass plays and they know what you're doing, when you put Juwan Johnson in the slot, they know what you're doing. You led the SEC this year in interceptions. By the way, no big deal. You just led the country in interceptions. It's not that big of a deal. But yet you sit here 7-5 on the preface of potentially ending this situation in a coaching carousel, which I'm sure a lot of you are here for. Look, I'm proud of the way this team fought. It takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of fortitude. And it takes a lot of mental toughness to do what the defense did the last month of the season. It does. It does. But as good as the defense performed today, as good as the defense performed the last month, to give you a chance. Guys, you had I'm not going to say national championship. You had a playoff contending, better than a playoff contending defense that, guys, you could have ended the season if you were moderately capable of moving the football on offense, both with either Michael Van Buren or Garrett Nussmeier, for you to win games. You went into Norman, Oklahoma against a better defense and put up the same amount of points as when you went on the road against Alabama. Nothing changed. I love the way that this defense rallied around Blake Baker. And regardless of who the next head coach is, there's always going to be discussions. Corey Raymond as well, man. Jake Olson as well. They've done a fantastic job defensively. But I sit here not mad, not sad or anything like that. I have mixed emotions about what I just saw, because that's one of the better defensive performances that you're going to see. The last month, quite frankly, is one of the best defenses in the country. Guys, LSU the last month, I could make the argument, is a top 5 defense in the country. Top 5 easily. But here you stand. Here you stand. We'll go through the game. I don't know what to make of it. You know, I sit here and say to myself that you had all the chances in the world to be great, and you failed. And that will be the legacy of the last 4 years. You had multiple chances to be elite. On one side of the ball, let's just say that you had playoff level sides of the ball and you failed. We'll get into it later, man, but it's so frustrating because at the end of this, you could have beaten Bama. Could have beaten Bama. Guys, you gave up 3 points in the second half to Alabama. You could have beaten them. It's a top 10 team on the road. You could have beaten Oklahoma just now. So I look at this and say to myself, hey, Lane Kiffin, did you just see the baseline of LSU? That's the floor. What you saw tonight's the floor. Tonight was some of the most Les Miles shit I've ever seen, but kind of in an opposite way. It's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, we're live. Everybody do us a favor by hitting a like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook, to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every postgame show and coaching carousel video is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. We're proudly partnered with our good friends over at FanDuel. A lot of big games tonight. Download the FD Sportsbook app. A lot of big NFL games tomorrow as well. Download that app. Pledge those bets with our good partners and our good friends over at FanDuel. For any thoughts, questions, concerns, go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details on all that. I've set my preferences. You can do yours there. It's a big reason why we've partnered with our good friends over at FanDuel. All right, do us a favor. There's a couple of things. Number one, a couple of ways to get into the show. I kind of already see some Super Chats flying in here. Get your Super Chats in here. If you want to join the show, that's a good way of doing it. You can do like Louie here. Become a member of the YouTube channel like Royal here. Has been a member for a month. He says, can't even believe we were in the game. We will get to that tonight too, I promise you. So Super Chats, members only. If we have time, at the end, we might do some live call-ins. But I have a very strong anticipation with all the Super Chats, thoughts, questions, concerns when it comes to Lane Kiffin that we might not be able to get to that. But regardless, that is how you can get involved. Do us a favor by hitting a like and share. All right. So let's get to it in here. I know you want to talk about the game, but we got something we need to get to first. So where do things stand with right now with Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin? As they stand right now, guys, things can change in an instant. So as I'm live, things can change like that. So as the end of the LSU football game, while in the fourth quarter, I'm having to make a phone call before we come out here, or multiples, to see where we are. This is where things currently stand. It was reported today by Pete Nakos of On3 that Ole Miss athletics director and Lane Kiffin had a meeting at 3 p.m. I don't know what's going on in that meeting. I'm not going to pretend to know. I have no clue. One thing that I do find to be very interesting about that is I've heard a lot of people talk about that they could relocate Lane, meaning they could technically tell him that we are moving on from you. We're going to reassign you. If you're going to LSU, you won't coach the SEC championship game if Bama loses, and you won't coach the playoffs. ESPN, not Yahoo Sports, ESPN reported today that if Lane Kiffin were to leave and Ole Miss were to move on, that Joe Judge would be their interim head coach. So, with all of that in mind, just want to point this out. Number one, Tom Mars pointed out that I do not know if they could relocate him. I don't know if they can reassign him without written notice. In the contract of Lane Kiffin, if they were to reassign him, per the contract, per an attorney who is talking about the contract, not me, they would have to give him written notice, which would be public record. Who knows? Who knows if that is what they're talking about? I don't know what decisions right now between Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are going on behind closed doors. Quite frankly, guys, in the last 3 weeks for myself, the last, I want to say 5 hours has probably been the quietest it has been since this entire search started. I take that for what it's worth. But around 1:30, 2 o'clock, this thing kind of went silent from an LSU side of things. Now, a lot could be made of that in reference to, Blake, you're playing a game. There's a lot going on. I understand that. But I thought during the game that there would be a little bit more coming from Ole Miss. There has not been. So, where do things stand with LSU, or, excuse me, potential LSU head coach, Lane Kiffin? Guys, they said that there was going to have to be a decision made today. That was the ultimatum that Ole Miss gave him. They released a statement that Lane Kiffin would make a decision by the Saturday after the Egg Bowl. Well, it's currently 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sidebar. If we get off this show and he is announced as LSU's next head coach, we will be coming right back. So just letting you know, we're in for the long haul on this one. I did not think that this was going to make it to Friday, to be blunt with you. But it did. And it's made it to today. Could even make it to tomorrow. The current sentiment as of right now from a local level, and guys, as you're seeing it right now at national level, is that there's a massive amount of confidence right now from LSU. We've been here before, right? We've been here before with Lincoln Riley. We've been here before with Tom Herman. Now, this is a little bit different. This is Lane fucking Kiffin. And no, I ain't going to call him a hoe on this show, I promise you. My name's not, I'm not singing any ludicrous lyrics. I'm sure a lot of you know the reference that I'm talking about there with Ben Garrett of On3. This is where I feel like things stand right now. I think LSU has still been in contact with Lane about this process. I don't know what has happened over the last couple of hours specifically. What I would feel is that today, tomorrow, that LSU is reemphasizing where they stand. At worst, a decision is going to have to be made tomorrow, and I think that we all will get that because we will know the outcome tonight of Alabama and if Ole Miss is in the SEC championship game. Where I do think things stand is that, guys, if you cut me open, it seems like he's leaning one way. I do have some cautions. Every time Ole Miss has put out a timeline, as we talked about this past week, they've seemed to falter on it, right? They've seemed to push back on it. They've seemed to talk a big game and walk it back. So when that has happened, when all of that has happened, where they're going to talk a big game, we're giving them an ultimatum last Friday, we're giving them an ultimatum till Saturday, nothing's happened. I think that you have a right to be cautious. I think you have a massive right now to be very optimistic. Guys, LSU feels like this is going to go their way. Whether what my opinion is on it doesn't really factor into it. It's being reported everywhere that they have a massive amount of confidence. I don't know if I completely share the massive amounts of confidence. You got to close this thing out. I think Lane is an intriguing and unique individual when it comes to doing what he wants. And I prefaced all of what I just corresponded with by saying he wants to coach his team through the playoff, which I think LSU will allow him to do, but an announcement's going to have to happen. And that is what LSU is seeking. Will Ole Miss tell him to walk? Guys, if that was us, we would tell him to walk. Whether you got to fire him, I don't know. But this has not been very behind the scenes. This has been very public with us, Ole Miss, and God, don't get me started on Florida, how bad they look at the current moment and how absolutely just horrible the Florida Gators and their media corps look at the current moment. Guys, everybody I talk to, they are pointing him in that direction. I don't know if I completely feel the same positivity. If you ask me, I think LSU leads, but I don't want to say not by much, but I feel like that they have a comfortable lead. Can they get it over the finish line? LSU will not back down. They're not going to back down from a monetary standpoint. And I think that one thing that I have tried to really stress this entire month has been every time LSU was met with adversity during this coaching search, they prevailed and they didn't back down. Not once did they back down. And they're not doing it now. They're doing what it takes. If you've watched this show, I've told you from the beginning, I am proud of what they've done. If Lane Kiffin decides to stay at Ole Miss, it's going to suck. They've done everything they can do. And it's not going to be from a money aspect. I thought Nick Saban said it the best today, which is, guys, what we've been saying the last 2 weeks. Everybody has been saying it's about this reason or that reason. Go listen to any AYS show over the last 2 weeks. The number one thing about this is what can you do from an on-field NIL monetary standpoint? It's what it's always come down to. Now you got Lane Kiffin telling Marty Smith to tell Nick Saban to stay by your phone. Then Nick Saban just so happens to run out there and says, well, I think Lane's decision comes down to where's the best place he can build a roster. And LSU might be better from a recruiting standpoint than then just supplement from the portal. Guys, you're going to have to convince me that Saban and Lane aren't talking. You're going to have to convince me of that. If Nick Saban is willing to say what he just said out in public this morning, what is he telling Lane Kiffin behind closed doors? You know, like I think about when you come down on a family member or a child or something, and you might lash out at them. If it's that way in public, what's it like behind closed doors? Is it the same thing? Is Nick Saban telling him that he needs to go to LSU? Is my point here. I think Pete Carroll would tell him the same, to be blunt with you. If he does not come here, it's not a troll job. Guys, you don't fly your family to Baton Rouge if it is. You just don't. You don't. LSU has met every demand. Every cranny has been looked under. Every question has been answered. And LSU has matched it in telling Lane Kiffin, from what I have been told, go do it. You need that? Sounds good. We'll go get it. This is how we're going to go get it. This is what we're going to do. Guys, alignment has been a big deal here. You know, Governor Landry, Virgil Ellsbury, Wade Roos, Scott Ballard. I had my reservations of how this was about to go down, to be quite blunt with you. Can they see it through to the finish line? But I got to give them a lot of credit, man. The biggest thing here has been alignment from all entities. Now, just because Chris Lowe deleted a tweet doesn't mean that that's not true. Guys, they have convinced Jimmy Sexton, and more importantly, they have convinced Lane Kiffin that, listen, man, the alignment's here. What do you want? Sounds good. We'll go get it. Oh, we actually need some more of this. We'll go get it. Which then gives me the confidence, to be honest with you, that why I personally lean from an opinion standpoint off of things that I've heard where it's LSU. And I know that that's been massively reported. We talked about on Wednesday in our final show before Thanksgiving. Guys, there's a lot of oozing confidence coming out of Baton Rouge. I mean, 2 Thursdays and a Wednesday, we basically told you how this was going to go down. One thing that I did not think would happen was it would last this long. Just being blunt. It does make me nervous. It does make me nervous that it continues to do this. Should A&M have won last night, maybe this thing would have been over. Maybe that decision today between Ole Miss and Keith Carter and their chancellor and Lane Kiffin is, hey, man, I get it. Can we see if we make it to the SEC championship game right now? If Alabama loses, we're in. And we have a chance to go and do something that's never been done in the history of Ole Miss. That's not only going to Atlanta, that's winning the damn thing. And if you're Ole Miss, and the one thing that can blow up this entire thing, in my opinion, because I've heard a lot of you say and send me on 3 message board, 247, Tiger droppings, he signed, it's done, it's over. No, it's not. No, it is not. Want to know what can blow this entire thing wide open? That Lane Kiffin says, yeah, Alabama loses tonight. We're going to the SEC championship game, and I don't know where this thing goes. I do not feel great about currently where things sit. I'll just say it like this. Your backup plan signed an extension at Missouri from everything that I was able to gather. So where do you pivot if all hell breaks loose here? The most college football thing of all time would be that all hell breaks loose. Alabama could walk out there tonight in just a moment. Brandon, are they playing yet? No? All hell could break loose and this thing be over. I don't like it. This is about to get stressful, man. Listen, I know y'all listen to a lot of people And I'm not about to discredit any of them. The truth of the matter is you're in the big ass dogfight right now. I know that basically was the title of our episode on Wednesday. You're in a bigger one now. Can you pull it off? Guys, I don't know where this is going. I have absolutely no clue where this is going. What I do know is that we sit in a position and we sit in a spot to go end it. A&M losing last night was not great. I do get worrisome. I have confidence that I trust in the people that I talk to about where they think that they sit. I also see the actions, and I just ask myself the question, how does this thing end? How does this thing end? I personally just don't know. I just don't know. Last thing, we'll get to the game and some super chats. The biggest thing that gives me confidence is that LSU has been so firm. If LSU would have pivoted like Florida, if LSU would have did some of the same things as Ole Miss, and interviewing other clients and like really going out there and interviewing other clients, I would have been a lot more worried. But they haven't as of yet. And I think that they would have known. If you ask me, this is an opinion, not sourced, because the thing that is sourced is that I have heard that it's not done. If you're asking an opinion can be wrong. My opinion is that he comes to Baton Rouge. That is my opinion. But you're in a dogfight. Let's see if you've gone won this thing. All right. You can send in super chats. You can become a member on the YouTube channel. And that's how we'll do it. All right. We'll get to a couple of these super chats and we'll get to the game here too. Let's get to a couple things. Louis became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you, Louis. Omar the Tiger says, cha-cha right to the end of the season. Yeah, that was our biggest that was one of our sayings. We're doing the cha-cha slide on the screens. I don't know what we're doing. I simply have no idea. We'll get into that in a moment. I mean, listen, we can talk about this through the show and just do this abnormally as we do. 1, 2. No. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You just had so many 3 and outs, man. So many 3 and outs. These screens are abysmal. I mean, the Perkins interception in the beginning of the game. So we'll get to the game in a minute. But yes, it is abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. KYH with a $10 super chat says, Blake, I think this is the worst LSU team I've seen since I started watching. Horrible player rotation, no offensive identity. If Frank wasn't such a good recruiter, I'd say fire him too. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the worst team that you've had. And not since I've been doing this. The 6-6. I mean, your defense is really good, man. It's really good. Oh, I think Lane Kiffin's about to drag this thing out, guys. I do. And he's going to tell LSU to hold on. Omar the Tiger became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Omar. Childish Daddy says, if Lane doesn't commit, I'm going to be a sad son of a gun. I'm with you there. Look, this is gonna be a big deal one way or the other. Either you're going to be completely ready to go, and you're going to be very excited, or you're going to be torn apart because this has gone too far. Look, here's the thing. The reason I brought up the attorney thing in the beginning is I don't know if there's a lot of legal ground that Ole Miss can do other than firing him, to be honest with you. Like Tom Mars put that out there. I don't know if there's grounds without a written notice that they could move on from him. You know, that it's kind of like the LSU thing in a way. LSU said they were firing Brian Kelly, but then they're firing him with cause, and then no, they would just wind up paying the $53 million. All of that being said, I mean, I don't really know a lot of options that they have for him. And Lane could go in there and say to everybody, I haven't made up my mind yet. And go to a situation where he plays this thing all the way out because he wants to coach the team. I don't know if LSU's willing to wait until December or whatever to wait for Lane Kiffin. But if he doesn't commit to you by Tuesday, I mean, like, I don't know what you do. And then you got a whole problem with LSU's got to make a decision, because what do you do with the current staff, right? Like, what if they probably want to know their status? Hey, man, am I staying or am I going? Am I staying or am I going? Regardless, am I staying or am I going? You got signing day, what, on Tuesday? Wednesday, whatever it is? I don't know. This thing could massively get played out here. Shaquan with a $20 super chat says, not big on what ifs, but man, if the offense was at least average, we're in the playoffs, especially with how the defense is playing. I mean, look, all season, they get a stop and we go 3 and out in 45 seconds. Without a doubt. Shaquan. I mean, listen, we're going to get into the game in a minute. We're going to get a couple more super chats before we get into it here. But you're 1,000% right. I mean, like, let's think of this. Where's the Perkins interception? Let's see. I mean, the Perkins interception, and then Michael Van Buren throws the interception when he could have beat the defender to the end zone there. I mean, that's absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Then you have Barrion Brown on the 6th possession dropping a 15-yard dagger route. I mean, like, you can't do stuff like that. You just can't do stuff like that. So the first possession for them offensively is Harold Perkins getting a tackle for loss on a dive, 3rd and 6, tip pass in the air, Perkins INT inside the 10, Michael Van Buren rolls out, and the ball gets picked off from him. I mean, like, it's just every time that you got a big stop. I mean, guys, you had 3 interceptions, and you got 10 points. I mean, like, what they've done the last month, and you're having these same issues. Just not good, man. Not good at all. Ricky Pope with a $20 super chat says, happy Thanksgiving, Blake. Green is Michael Irvin. Barry could be the next Emmitt Smith. Do you think Lane is watching these games? I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is somewhere. I mean, I don't know what Lane Kiffin's doing. I have no clue. I have zero clue what he's doing. But I do think he's playing this thing out, to be completely honest with you. I think he's going to play it all the way out. And he's going to force Ole Miss's hand because I do think his image matters to him, and he's going to let it play out. He 100% is going to let it play out. So I could see him doing a 1,000 different things. 1,000 different things. I have no clue. I don't know if LSU wants to wait. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know how this is going down, man. I really don't. Let me say this. I've heard some things in reference to how LSU wants this thing to play out. I've heard how if, Lane's wanting to force their hand, like this game tonight between Alabama and Auburn, I do think is a big deal. And you go from there. Because once the playoff starts and LSU is going to want a decision, and I think Lane wants to come here. I really do. And I think both sides are going to force him to make a decision and put him in a crunch. And he could tell LSU if Bama doesn't win tonight, hey, guys, I want to coach the SEC championship game. And then we go from there. I do think those things are happening. I really can't be convinced otherwise, to be blunt with you. I can't be convinced otherwise. I mean, you're going to now have to tell me what else is going on. I don't believe anybody at LSU if they say, oh, we're just waiting until tomorrow. No big deal. We talked about this about Sunday, Monday. I don't buy that. I'm not buying that because Ole Miss, and by the way, Keith Carter, guys, I think he has no balls, to be completely blunt with you. I think he has zero balls. This is the second time that you say, hey, Coach Kiffin's going to make a decision. Brother, you're the one that's forcing him to make a decision right now. And to be honest with you guys, Ole Miss is the reason that this is such a big deal. If they would just sit there and shut up and stop leaking shit, then, I mean, you can't keep giving a guy ultimatums and think people aren't going to freak out over those ultimatums. You said you were going to make a decision today. You didn't. And you didn't force Lane to make one either. It was your job over a month ago to have all of this shit worked out. They didn't. So, yeah. Alex Cormier with a $5 super chat says, what are you talking about? LOL. He says, what are you talking about? LOL. This way, execution, not play calling. This was execution, not play calling. Play calling didn't force Michael Van Buren to throw a pick. No, but when you go when you bundle everybody up, when you haven't done that all game and you have a play action to a guy in Bauer Sharp who's been unreliable, it's a dumb play call. When, first off, you want to talk about play calling and execution, how about not rotating receivers with 9 seconds left on the clock? You can talk about execution you want to. That's not execution. You have a horrible coach who is over the rotation at receivers. Guys, the biggest kept secret that I have kept all year, the only reason I went to Brian Kelly's press conference 6 weeks ago, whatever the fuck it was because I had heard from multiple people and teams that you've played, coaches on that staff, that they knew when you were running the football. Those same people told people on your staff that they know. Is execution a big deal? Yes. It is always going to be a big deal. Drop passes by Barryon Brown. Here's the coaching problem into that. Why is Barryon Brown still playing? Because he's got 7 drops in 3 weeks. It's not at all. Well, boy, that's an execution thing. All right. Well, the coach has the autonomy to take him out. You fired your head coach, and you're saying it's all execution. You're still throwing screens. Joe Sloan's not making you not throw screens. Just being blunt with you. So, Alex, I vehemently disagree that it's only on execution. I don't. All right. Let's get into some of the game here. So, what, Brandon? Yeah, do it. All right, stand by, guys. Stand by. I really thought more of you would come in here and talk about the game, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the game. If some breaking news pops off, we'll get to it, and then I'm sure we'll answer more questions on Lane Kiffin on things that I'm hearing. We'll go from there. First possession offensively, you had a 3-and-out, followed by you getting an interception. So offensively, you lost the toss. You got the ball. You had a couple of outside runs that are inside, one outside run that got you no gain. And on 3rd and 7, you throw a screen to Berryon that he double caught. I just don't think Berryon should have been playing here, to be blunt with you. If that is what you're asking me, I look, I thought he could come in here and do a lot of really good things, but he didn't. He didn't. Why we continue to try to get a guy who doesn't try to get north and south is beyond me, but nevertheless, we're there. So you can't run the ball against the number one team and run defense in the country, and it forces you to be in a situation where you got to punt. First possession defensively was the tip pass that fell into the hands of Harold Perkins. Patrick Payton made a great play where he tapped the ball up in the air, and you got the interception. Guys, I've said this every week during the post Brian Kelly exit. I have no idea how to quantify this. Like, I have zero idea on how to even make this a logical point. Harold Perkins easily has been playing better post Brian Kelly being fired. This defense has been better. This defense has been better with Brian Kelly not being here. I think it's got a lot of to do with the autonomy of what Frank has allowed Blake Baker to coach with. I think it's got a lot to do with the level of freedom that they have. Guys, you went up against a top 10 team, the number 10 team in the country right now in Alabama. You really did good against them. You did good against a bad offense in Oklahoma, yes, but nevertheless a top 8 team when you can't move the football. And that interception by Perkins on a tip-up by Patrick Payton was a big deal, which should have resulted at minimum 3 points. You turn around and do what you normally do. You know, I made a joke to people who I was watching the game with when Perk intercepted that. I'm like, there's no way we're scoring a touchdown here. We're not that lucky. Then you throw a pick. And it's a horrible decision by Michael Van Buren, a horrible way to not get points there that, guys, quite honestly, how would the end of the game been if you would have just gotten 3 points there? If the score late in the game is 17-16 and you got to kick a field goal to win it, it's just a bigger game. You know, I've talked about this a lot. I'm a stickler for turnovers. I hate them. You can't have them to win. Either you got to be elite on defense or you can't have them. And yeah, you had a lot, but when you had a chance early in the game to quite honestly win it, you know, like the end of the game, the last play of the game doesn't end the game for you. You should have scored there. Michael Van Buren could have hit the edge and he could have scored. That's a bad decision by a very young quarterback who, quite honestly, over time has got to get better with making that decision. He's got to trust his legs. He's got to trust his legs. He doesn't, and you get picked. You lead the SEC in interceptions, by the way. You lead the fucking SEC in interceptions. So I get to a place in time where that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you had an average, I think it was the super chat earlier, if you had an average offense, you could have been so much better than where the fuck you sit right now. That guys, Harold Perkins has been playing lights out. The first drive, he gets a TFL. Then he gets an interception that he returns it to the 10. You know, I was hoping that he would just score because I didn't think we were going to score a touchdown anyway. John Mateer, you know, on Wednesday, we talked about keys to victory. It's like, listen, here's the game in a nutshell. The only way that you beat Oklahoma is if John Mateer gives you the game. And he did. And you still found a way to lose it. You just can't have that. So You get picked off. Well, your defense just completely stands up. They force a 3-and-out. You come back out. You have a 3-and-out. 3rd and 3. Michael Van Buren's pass is batted down. They come on a 0 blitz, and it just gets batted down. Good call by Brent Venables. Your defense, again, turns around and is able to give you a massive stop in the red zone area as Oklahoma finally puts on a drive there to get themselves 3 points. Look, a couple of big plays. You had a deep drag to Gibson, who, by the way, is a Louisiana guy. You had 2 LSU ties in this game at wide receiver for Oklahoma. And Gibson and Satania, whose parents ran track at LSU. Satania was in the portal, by the way. But you took Barryon Brown. Regardless of that, look, they finally put a drive together. They hit some big things. Couple of quick, just intermediate passes that they meticulously moved the ball down the field. But on a big 3rd and 5 on the 3rd possession by your team defensively, you were able to get an incompletion and force a 38-yard field goal, which would bring it 3-0 Oklahoma. LSU's offense with another 3-and-out. You still have yet to run the ball outside of twice. Your 4th possession, and you have 2 rushes. Michael Van Buren to Barryon Brown on a screen is dropped. Psst. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, Cha-Cha left, and you can't catch the ball. I don't get what we're doing here. Michael Van Buren roll left. He's got no one open. He's got to throw it away. I don't get what we're doing. I just don't get what we're doing. 3rd and 10, Parker on an out route. When you roll the pocket out right, the ball is short and it's incomplete, and you got to punt the ball away. I'm like one of those, those little clapping monkeys with the cymbals. That's what I want to do to my head. It's so bonkers, man. It's so bonkers. So bonkers. Defense would come out for their 4th possession after just giving up a field goal, and Mateer would have a couple of big plays. He'd get an RPO slant for 5 yards, a Satania screen for 5 yards. He would roll right. He'd have to throw it away. Really good play by Mateer on a throwaway. He got out of some pretty intense pressure there to get out of a sack. 3rd and 11, Mateer scrambles for 10 yards, which would bring up a 4th and 1, and Oklahoma would go for it, and Robinson gets no gain. So, look, I know we will remember the 3 interceptions tonight, but the 4th down stop was just as massive. You getting the 4th down stop there on 3rd and 1 prevented Brent Venables probably from making the decision for going forward on 4th down later in the game multiple times, when I thought that he really had to make the decision of what are we going to do here. I mean, Weston Whitweeks had a massive game, especially in the interior. This Oklahoma team is going to the playoff, but they are trash offensively. Since Mateer's thumb injury, I know Frank said this earlier this week, it was a shoulder injury. It's not. Regardless, the thumb injuries affected them offensively, but their O-line sucked all year, and you pushed them around. And on one of the biggest plays of the game, you pushed them around. So, guys, again, defensively, this is the point that I'm making. You're about to go into your 5th possession offensively, and you have 0 points. Imagine if this was just an average offense. You could be up by 10. I mean, like, you could easily just have scored a touchdown and then have a chance on the other 4 to go get a field goal, right? Like, I mean, it's not that difficult. Like, defensively, they had a lot. Offensively, they had a lot of mistakes. You didn't. Defensively. That's the part that makes me so mad, is because from a talent level standpoint, from just a pure overall talent standpoint, guys, on one side of the ball, you got it. You've got it. as great as Austin and this staff hit on a lot of these guys defensively, they missed offensively really bad. Really bad. So I don't know, man. I mean, just you have 2 turnovers before the first quarter's even over with, right? Where's the second quarter? Yeah, you have 2 turnovers. You have a turnovers on downs that got you around the 50-yard line, and you intercepted a pass that got you inside the 10. And it's just, man, you got to be able to produce more than that. You do. All right, 5th possession offensively. Oklahoma kind of bailed you out. You got a jet sweep with a face mask on Barrion Brown that gives you a first down. You have Watkins on a fade, but you had roughing the passer and then a double pass by Xavier Thomas that goes for 27 yards to Bauer Sharp. So 2 big penalties, a roughing the passer, a face mask by Oklahoma, and then you have a 27-yard pass by Xavier Thomas that gets you down to near the red zone. You would have Harlan Berry on a dive that goes for no gain, and you would end the first quarter 3-0. Every time that you kill your momentum, every time your momentum stops, it's just going to completely stop. Every single time. Sucks, man. Johnson on a double pass, but he gets ran down for -2 yards. You would have to call a timeout after that. Guys, you're in the red zone. It's 2nd and goal, and you're trying to run a double pass. And it gets blown up. And you're rotating receivers in and out, which forces you to call a timeout. Guys, Cortez, it is bad, man. It is by far one of the worst things. Everyone wants to talk about the offensive line. I get it. They sucked. You know what they didn't do today? They didn't give up a sack to the number 1 team in the country with sacks. And every fucking time you get down to the red zone with this rotating bullshit, you got to call a timeout. You shouldn't have to do that. Play the guys that are in there. Oh! It is by far the most frustrating thing on planet Earth. Sets up another 3rd and goal. Barry would run the football for 6 yards, and you would line up for a 24-yard field goal, and it's good, and you tie the game. Got an idea. Why don't you run the football? That's your 4th rush in 5 possessions. Oh. Do tie the game at 3, though. You do tie the game at 3, which basically is what would happen until halftime because you would just trade 3 and outs. 5th possession defensively, you would force a 3 and out. See? Because then you're coming back with a 3 and out. LSU comes back with a 3 and out. On a 3rd and 7, Barrion Brown drops another pass, a dagger route over the middle that would have been for 15 yards. He's unable to hold on, and you got to punt. Sucks. 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 Is what it is, though. All right, you would trade a couple of possessions here, nothing that would amount to much. Like, for example, right before the half, Oklahoma had a couple of pass plays. They got 1 first down. Then they had a play that they got called for holding, would back it up, would get them into a 3rd and 19. John Mateer would have a draw play for 7 yards. They would be forced to punt. LSU would also have a holding on Barrion Brown on their next possession that would push them back, which would force a 3rd and 14th. Ultimately, Durham would get a 2-yard run, and you would punt the ball away. And basically, both of you did it. Now, the last drive defensively, you get I say a pretty big stop, but it is a pretty big stop. Oklahoma had a couple of plays here where they're just trying to nickel and dime you down the field before the 2-minute warning. A throw for 8, a throw for 6, a veer run for 6, a counter run for 1. You have the 2-minute warning. You would force a 3rd and 6 that Satanga would have a 8-yard gain on a slant. Mateer would have to scramble and throw the ball away. You would have a hitch for 1 and 3rd and 1. West Weeks and Whit Weeks would blow up the play on a 3rd and 1 to force a 4th and 3rd. So, listen, they're trying to concede until halftime unless they're able to break something right before the half. And yet again, on the critical downs, man, the Weeks brothers came through. They tried to run the football. They tried to lean on you. They knew you were a little tired. They were trying to go a little bit hurry up to get you exhausted, and you didn't fold. You didn't fold. So they would try to get you to jump off sides on a 4th and 3. You do not, and they would punt the ball away, which you would have a run for 6 yards to end it, and that would be the half at 3. So all in all, man, defensively, you just dominated just as much as they dominated you. That's the sickening part. That is the sickening part. I can go into the second half, and we are, but look, man, that's as good of a first half as you can have. You got a turnover on downs. You have 2 turnovers in the first half. You had the turnover on downs, and you had the interception. And you're tied. You should never be there. Ever. That should never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. But it does here. It does. Just absolutely insane. But you're fighting. 8 possession defensively. 3rd and 10 after a couple of runs. You had Robinson on a dive run left for 13 yards and a dive for no gain. They would run a corner route when they roll out Mateer out of the pocket, and they would throw the ball away. The lane is hurt on the play and would have to come out for a couple of plays. 3rd and 10, they'd have a false start, which would bring up 3rd and 15. LSU would call a timeout, which they got massively bailed out on because LSU was misaligned and the play had played on before the whistle had blown officially, and Oklahoma hit a very, very big play that could have really cost you. But they give LSU the timeout. So 3rd and 15, they had a 29-yard pass to Satanga down the seam. Tamarcus Cooley, who got replaced for Deshaun Spears today, and ultimately it was Cooley that blew the coverage on the last play to give Oklahoma a touchdown, was responsible for giving up the long seam. I mean, listen, I don't think Tamarcus Cooley's a bad player. I do think Deshaun Spears' upside is more massive than his. And I think that overall, across the entire team, we've had a massive issue with playing guys that aren't more talented because they make more money. And I don't think Cooley is at the top of that list. I think he's more at the bottom of that list for me. But we have more talented players on this team, especially offensively, that are not playing over the guys that are right now because we paid them a ridiculous amount of money and we're hard-headed. We're hard-headed. So a massive play for that. But Deshaun Spears would come in. Very next play wouldn't amount to much because A.J. Halsey would undercut a route and intercept a pass and get it into LSU territory. Guys, the biggest portal find that we've had all year has been A.J. Halsey and Mansour Delane. The two biggest, I don't want to say money grabs, but the two biggest fights that you probably got into was over Mansour Delane and A.J. Halsey. Now that this season's over, you won it financially, and they've been worth every penny. They've been worth every single penny that you've given them. Mansour Delane's the best corner in the country, and I think A.J. Halsey is borderline a second-team all-SEC safety. He has been elite. You have been missing safety play that is at an LSU caliber for probably 4 years now. No, let me not say that. Probably for 3 years now. I'll say that because Jay Ward was pretty fucking good. But AJ Halsey, man, his instinctually, he's one of the best instinctual safeties that's ever played at LSU. He is a ball hawk. He is a great tackler. He is physical. That dude's, if he can stay healthy completely, he is going to have a very, very, very long career in the NFL and a massive play for LSU defensively. LSU would respond in a massive way after the A.J. Halsey interception. Barry on 2 runs, that would be a total of 9 yards that would force a 3rd and 1 from would force, Southern Stan, a 3rd and 1. NVB on a zone read goes for 23 yards, and you get into the red zone, 1st and goal. Another zone read, but this time we're going to have an RPO attached to it in the flat to Xavier Thomas that Michael Van Buren would throw into the flat for a touchdown and a score, and Tigers lead 10-3. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely great stuff there. You forced them to make decisions. They made the wrong ones. You capitalized off of a turnover for one of the first times in the season that you've done that. God, what if you would have done that the time before? God, guys, what if you would have gotten 3 the time before? Guys, you should have won this game. I'm sorry, Oklahoma should not have won it. They should not have won this game. You dominated them defensively. You had 4 total turnovers. You should have beaten quite honestly, you should have beaten the dog shit out of them. They're not a bad team. They're really good on defense, but they're not a good team. Overall, they're not a good team, but they're really well coached defensively. And because they're really well coached and they're a little bit better than you offensively, that's where they stand. Sad, man. Sad. I made a positive into a negative, but you score, you get 10-3. All right. Oklahoma would come out on their next possession, a couple of critical 3rd downs. So they had 2 big 3rd downs. 3rd and 14, Gibson on a post goes for 30. Again, to Marcus Cooley. That's got to get cleaned up. Well, the season's over, so it doesn't matter. A post to Satania is incomplete, and then on another 3rd and 8, a fade route that DJ Pickett would intercept. So back-to-back drives, back-to-back interceptions by LSU. Your secondary's just been elite. He's been elite. It's been elite. Guys, you had 4 turnovers within 10 possessions. 4 of the possessions to start off the game were turnovers. What a hell of a play by DJ Pickett, man. I don't know what his next steps are. Like if Corey leaves, does he leave? I don't really know. Brandon, go check Twitter. Okay. Just make sure to check Twitter if correct. No, I just got a text. Stand by. Yeah, go to mine. Okay. All right. Yes, that is what I'm trying to make sure of. Thank you. All right. I don't even know where we are. I got a text saying, go check Twitter. It's happening. Now I just got another text saying I got bamboozled. Of course you did. Oh, I hate coaching carousel season. I hate being live during all of this shit. So we need to move closer, quicker. I hate being live during this shit, but it's where we're at. All right. DJ Pickett. I don't know what he's going to do, man. I do think that, Corey probably does need to stay if you're asking me. I think he should stay. because it's a big core nucleus, and you got Haven coming in. You got PJ Woodland that could be on the other corner. You might have to go out in the portal and maybe get a good slot, depending on what your defense looks like and who's your DC next year. I just think you need to probably keep Corey, if we're being blunt, because I think DJ is going to be a star, and I think PJ Woodland's going to be a fucking star too. To be blunt with you, I know a lot of people have sentiment about Frank. I do as well. But I think that because of what you got coming in and what you have currently, look, I just don't think you got to let Corey go. I was a big I didn't like the Corey thing when it first happened because the way that it ended. Right? Like the way that it ended the last time, it was really petty. Very petty. It got bad. I just think Corey there's been some humility in some of this. And I'll just say this. Peace pipes have been smoked from how things went down the last time to now. I think you got to keep him. I think for me, it's a non-negotiable. I'm not going to tell any head coach what to do, so I'm not going to come out here and like, hey, man, why didn't you keep Corey? But I think you got to look at this corner room and say, listen, do you really want to walk away from the guy who probably has the best room, meaning corners, that with field, with young talent that will be back? I personally would not do it. I personally would not let Corey walk. Guys, you got probably and arguably one of the best corners returning next year if he stays. And you got PJ Woodland. So really good, really big time play by the 6'5", and he's not 6'5". He's not 6'5". Wait till y'all see him in the combine and they do his height. He ain't gonna be no 6'5". So it is what it is. So you get an interception by DJ Pickett, and, well, you would have a 3-and-out. I don't really hate it. I don't really hate the 3-and-out there. You're backed up in your end zone. You just got a big interception. Considering what your options are right now throwing the ball, I don't mind conceding and not having a bad situation get worse, but you couldn't run the ball on them. I mean, guys, you ran the ball for -2, -1, and then for 8. I don't hate it, but it sucks that a big-time turnover, you don't have the faith to do anything on it. So it is what it is. Defensively, you get another massive stop as Robinson would go on. So after the interception, you'd have a 3-and-out offensively. Robinson would go on a run for 2. Satang on a fade goes for incompletion. 3rd and 8. Satang on an out goes for 7. PJ Woodland all over him, forcing a 4th and 1. They would try to get you off sides and delay a game, would back them up, and you would have to punt. So just back-to-back overall elite shit defensively until LSU broke here in the 4th quarter. 11th possession. Runs for 2 yards and 1 yard. Michael Van Buren on a 3rd and 7 is flush. He's got to throw the ball away. No one is open, so another 3-and-out. God-awful, man. Just god-awful. 11th possession defensively. Robinson would go for no gain, and Burks on a 45-yard screen route on a tunnel screen would go for a touchdown. It was only a matter of time, man, before they scored 7. You can only have so many 3-and-outs offensively before your defense gets gassed. Your defense got gassed, and they got misaligned. Tamarcus Cooley again. You got gashed, and they had a really good play call on, and they scored a touchdown from 45 yards out. I mean, you gave up a touchdown. Sounds good. You know, like I don't know what you want me to say on it. You had a misalignment. They beat you on it. They scored. You forced 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. And, guys, to that exact point, you're about to go into the 4th quarter, late into the 3rd quarter. You had 4 turnovers. I'm not going to sit here and blame the defense on a big play given up for a touchdown. I'm just not. You've had 3 back-to-back-to-back 3-and-outs that we just discussed. I don't know what you want me to say. I have no idea what you want me to say here. But the only thing I guess I really can say would just be that, well, defensively was always going to happen. It's ludicrous. All right, after you gave up a touchdown, couple of quick passes, a 4-yard screen to Barrion Brown, out route by Parker for 8 that goes for a first down. Barry on a zone read goes for 1 and would enter you into the fourth quarter. A drag route by Trey'Dez Green is dropped. Got to catch the football, man. Got to catch the fucking football. Good play call. Good play call. I just don't. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's some of the worst offensive execution and coaching I've ever seen. Jesus. And I think Trey'Dez Green has a chance to be special. He would make up for it later. I mean, to give you a field goal, but you just can't happen. Next play, Michael Van Buren would scramble. He would slide on a 3rd and 9. He can't slide there. So you constantly just make bad plays worse. You have the snowball effect that keeps happening to you. And guys, you're at the end of the season, and I'm just not going to fucking harp on it anymore. Can't keep happening. It's not going to keep happening. It might happen for one more game. But to be honest with you, I'm tired of seeing it. I got to be completely blunt with you. The guys that will stay on this team need to look from within. Somebody's got to become a leader, and y'all got to lock in the weight room. Y'all got to lock in to getting to work because, guys, this is a lack of work from a lot of people offensively. It's a lack of concentration. You're mentally not focused. You're just not focused. So, massive situation there by Michael Van Buren and Trey'Dez Green. Listen, Trey'Dez had a drop. Michael Van Buren go pick him up by running for a first down. You got to put your head down and go light somebody's ass up. Now, I will say this. I get to a place in time where, too, you have a walk-on. You have a walk-on that's your backup quarterback or Jawan Johnson. I'm sure that they've told Michael Van Buren not to take a lot of big hits. Actually, let me just tell you what I know. I heard this week from the staff that they tried to get some snaps with Jawan, and they didn't feel comfortable at all with it. So it is what it is. You got a long way to go. But you got to put your head down there, man, because you're tied. You're in a dogfight. You can't worry about – if you played scared, you're going to lose. If you play scared, you're going to lose. So it is what it is there. LSU defensively would force a 3-and-out. Mateer would be pressured on all 3 dropbacks and stop for no gain on one of them. On one of them, a post route to Satania almost got picked off by A.J. Halsey. Almost your 5th turnover defensively. God, this secondary is so good, man. 13 possession offensively. Trey'Dez Green would make up for it on a fade that goes for 30 yards. Johnson on a dive would go for 5. You have a rollout left. Thomas on a quick hitch would go for 11. Barry for a dive goes for 1. Let me stop right here. This is what pisses me off. Stay with me here. Trey'Dez Green goes on a fade route for 30. This is what could have fucking won it for you. But your lack of understanding of feel. As a coaching staff offensively, you have zero feel. Trey'Dez Green goes on a fade route for 30 yards. Johnson on a dive for 5 yards. Roll left, Thomas on a hitch goes for 11 yards. Barry on a dive for 1 yard. The very next play, LSU's got to call a timeout because on the Barry run, you go 12 personnel. You go doubles left, means 2 tight ends. So 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. Doubles left, and you rotated in Destin Hill and Chris Hilton. I know that this staff, or the former staff at least, knows this because I've made it very well known behind the scenes. It's why I asked Brian Kelly 6 weeks ago about the rotation. SEC teams know when you rotate in Chris Hilton and Destin Hill that you are running the ball. They know it. So later in the game, when Chris Hilton would come in and they would put in the telecast, I don't even know who those guys were. The telecast would circle that they have 8 guys in the box when Chris Hilton is in the game. It's because they know. So after Barry gets 1 yard, you would have to rotate the guys that you actually want to catch the ball into the game. You are doing Chris Hilton a disservice. If I was an NCAA chair committee over extending players for another year, I would look at the brutality of what Cortez Hankton and his staff did to Chris Hilton. I would. Coaches around the conference know what you are doing. I am not the guy that runs out here and says, sources, X, Y, and Z is what I'm hearing. I'm not Ross Dellinger. I'm telling you, it is for a fact that teams around the SEC fucking know that. They know. And Frank didn't change it when he became the interim. That's on Frank. At this point, that's not on Cortez anymore. That's on Frank. You got to call a timeout. You're having massive plays down the field. The most success that you've had all day, and you got to call a timeout because you're rotating receivers in with 9 seconds left on the clock. It drives me insane. It drives me insane. Oh, God bless it. Oh, well. Oh, well. It is what it is. You come out of the timeout. You try to reverse. A big defensive lineman tips the ball back, and you have a negative play of 17 yards. I just want to bang my head up against the wall. It's some of the worst coaching I've ever seen, man. I'm sorry, but it is. It is brutal. It is brutal. Somebody's got to be held accountable for that. And they are, by not coaching here next year. That is some of the worst things that I've ever seen. Would force a 3rd and 12, and Michael Van Buren would get pressured and flushed and hit Xavier Thomas on a deep dagger route for 18 yards. That was probably one of the biggest plays of the game. And that's what pisses me off more. Michael Van Buren finally found a rhythm, and you got him out of it because of a stupid timeout. God, that's horrible. You kick a field goal there only because Van Buren's able to hit Thomas on a deep dagger route. With that being said, I mean, it's a massive play by Van Buren there to line you up for 42 yards and a field goal for you to take the lead. I don't know why I keep getting mad at it. I have no clue. I don't know why I'm mad at it right now. Maybe because if I know that you know, and I know that you know because I told you that they know. All right. So you're up 13-10. False start by Ole Miss. Gibson on an in route drops a pass. Mateer on a power run for 3 yards, which would lead to a 3rd and 12. Flush is Mateer on 3rd and 12. Harold Perkins in on the pressure. The tight end goes for 8, which forced a 4th down, and they would punt. You have a chance to go in the game. Guys, if you score a touchdown, you go down here and you get a field goal, it's ball game. That's what I'm saying. Oklahoma should have not won this game. Oklahoma should not have won this game. They had so many chances where they did nothing. More than you, they did nothing. They had one big play. That was it. They had one big play to get them a touchdown. They have done nothing. And you can't find a way to win. It makes me want to pull my hair out. It makes me want to scream. It makes me want to scream. Anyway, you would have a 3 and out. Hitch route by Barrion Brown dropped. So those same receivers you're trying to rotate in drops a critical 3rd down for you to win the football game. It's only a matter of time, man. Just like earlier, it's only a matter of time before Oklahoma responds. They do. A Satania 58-yard fade route. Guess who? Tamarcus Cooley busted coverage. Fade route, touchdown, bang. Guys, they hit 2 big plays. And if you could just be competent, we shouldn't have lost. We shouldn't have. Last drive for you offensively, I don't even know what to say. I'm just throwing the baby out with the bathwater at this point. Who gives a shit? You're a really bad team offensively. You're a really bad coach. I don't blame Alex Atkins as much as a lot of you do because he's trying to coach he's trying to call plays for an offense that's fundamentally broken. He can't change the offense midseason. You can't relearn plays. You can't relearn timing. He's having to call Joe Sloan's offense that sucks. So it is what it is, man. I don't understand the play calling. I just don't. I don't understand what we're doing here. I have no clue. I have 0 clue what we're doing. All right. Let's get to some super chats here. I don't even know where we left off. Everybody do us a favor, though. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every AYS Sports Show is brought to you by our good partners over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app today. Use your mobile device to do that on Android and or Apple iPhone. For any questions, go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. Alabama just scored. They need a win. We need them out of the ironically, we need them in the in my opinion, we need them in the SEC championship game for the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Just my opinion here. Corey with a $20 super chat says, if we get Lane announcement on my B-Day, I'm going to turn up so hard I'll probably wind up divorced. When's your birthday? Tomorrow? I mean, it's trending that way at the current moment. It's trending that way. You know, there's a lot of names have been floating out there like Lincoln Riley. I mean, this is where I think we stand. Just so we're all on the same page. I think that Lane Kiffin at the current moment, as we are recording this live, I think Lane Kiffin's trying to force the hand of Ole Miss. I think that he wants his cake and he wants to have his cake and eat it too. I think at this exact moment, as we are discussing it, he wants to continue to stay on this team and coach this team because they have a playoff run. I don't know if LSU's told him. I think that they have, personally, that they'll let him coach the playoffs and they'll hold things down. I'm sure that they want an announcement, but y'all got to stop doing this to me. I keep getting texts that it's over. Y'all got to stop doing this to me because it's not. All right, let me get back to it. I think he's forcing the hand of Ole Miss. I think he wants to coach this team. I think that he's trying to force Keith Carter and Ole Miss to fire him or do something. And I just ultimately feel that they wanted to see how this Bama game plays out. If it doesn't, if there's not an announcement tonight, which we'll be back for. I promise you, if he's hired tonight for whatever reason, I will be back here. Might have to give me 20 minutes so I can go piss. But, yeah, we'll be back here. Boy, I just got nervous as hell. People keep fucking with me. My friends keep fucking with me. Oh, I need a gummy. I need a gummy. But that's what I think he's doing. I think he's trying to force their hand. At some point, LSU is going to have to force his hand. If you ask me, I think that whoever blinks first, Ole Miss or LSU, loses. And if you're LSU, you don't have any reason to blink right now. So what if it goes into tomorrow? You really ain't got no reason to completely blink tomorrow. Not really. I mean, the only thing that I would say is that you're taking a gamble if you want John Summerall, because he said he's gonna make a decision on Sunday. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, is anybody really going after Lincoln Riley? That's my question. Whoever blinks first is going to lose this. I do think that there's a scenario where Lane could say, well, look, man, I really wanted to go to LSU, but you started talking to other people, and I guess I'm just going to stay now. You can't blink. You can't get finicky now. You got to make him give you a decision. He's going to force your hand. The best play for Lane Kiffin right now is to shut up and be quiet. Now, if he really wants to go to LSU, at some point he's going to have to shit or get off the pot. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Jesse Whittington with a $10 super chat says, Lane's postgame one quote stood out to me. He said, quote, all the players who actually play on this offense, I bet none are from Mississippi. Speaks to a lack of sustainability and needing the portal. Yeah, I do think I do think that look, man, I do think that has been a big deal. Like I've told you from the beginning. So 2 Thursdays ago, I heard that the biggest talking point, Kiffin didn't want to talk about his salary. He didn't really want to talk about coaching salaries, but he did. And LSU basically said, when have you ever known us not to give coaches big salaries? Even like position coaches or coordinators, which that was over and done with. The biggest conversations, I don't care what anybody tells you. Guys, I don't know how to say this. I will run to my grave. Like, this is the biggest thing I've heard from the beginning of all this. All of the discussions that I have heard that Lane has had or wanted to have, not about real estate, not about schools, not about anything. How does he build a roster? So to Jesse's point, it has been, as we've talked about the last 3 weeks, the number one sticking point for him. Lane saying that he had to bring in former guys to kind of tell him what the Egg Bowl is all about. If you're from Mississippi, you know what the Egg Bowl is all about. So I agree. Fred on YouTube with a $10 super chat says 45 of 25 for 96 yards and a pick. Got to throw the touchdown in there. He says 198 yards of total offense, making Les Miles' offense look like the air raid. Feeling bad for saying this, but I'm glad the regular season's over. Yeah, look, and it could have been better. You had some critical drops. You're just going east and west is never going to do it for you. Ever. It's never going to do it for you. It never has. It never will. It never will. So, yeah. Not good. You know what this game really reminded me of? This is what my thoughts were. You remember that 2022 Auburn game? That's what it felt like to me. But you lost this one because Auburn was not a good team. It's what it felt like to me. Ricky says no need to get to this game. You're probably right, Ricky. You're probably right. I do it anyway. We're going to still talk about the team, man. Mr. Terps with a $5 super chat says, I would imagine LSU would be going in the portal for a quarterback next year, maybe two. I don't know. To be completely blunt with you, I don't know how they don't. Like, unless LSU's able to flip a quarterback from the high school ranks this week, which I find highly unlikely, yeah, you're going to have to go get multiple quarterbacks. And you're going to have to hope Michael Van Buren stays to battle it out. Truth be told, yeah, you got to go find a quarterback. You're in trouble there. Mr. Terps with a $5 super chat says it's sad that Ole Miss is going to try to use the playoffs to keep Kiffin. No, it's exactly what they should do. Just being completely blunt with you, it's exactly what they should do. They 1,000% should utilize their situation to keep him. To be blunt with you, it's the only thing that they have. It's the only thing that they have. I mean, it's the biggest leverage that they have. If you if you wait out LSU, what are you going to do? I mean, their biggest risk is not knowing what happens next year. But I mean, I thought the biggest leverage point for Ole Miss in all of this was if Lane really wanted to coach this team and doesn't want to ruin his image, then all right, we'll coach it. Because LSU ain't going to wait. And you can't accept a deal with them and be a part of our staff. So Lane is torn between a rock and a hard place. All right, fine, coach then. Because LSU's not going to wait. Guys, God forbid this shit make it to January. You get what I'm saying? So Lane also kind of is going to have to make a decision here. If you're asking me, I know this has been a big conversation. I'd let him finish the season if I'm Ole Miss personally. I would come to a mutual understanding between LSU and Ole Miss, buy him out. I would even do a bigger buyout, like come up with a negotiated contract instead of a $6 million buyout, maybe like you pay the difference. Like if they got John Summerall, what's his buyout? We'll pay it for you. I mean, who knows what negotiations are going on behind the scenes? Because I don't know. But it's their biggest leverage point, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Ricky Pope with a $20 super chat says, a question for those blaming MVB. How far have you gotten in life with no training or schooling? Yeah, I mean, look, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He's got I still think he gives you the best chance to win. I mean, here's the thing about Michael Van Buren that like people are like I saw people tagging me in Moscona's tweet. Let's get into it. Moscona said something to the effect, all of you who said that Garrett Nussmeier needed to be benched. He went up against some of the worst teams in the SEC, where Michael Van Buren was going up against some of the best teams in the SEC. Like the second half versus Alabama. Like Oklahoma. So wait, the two playoff teams. So let me get this right. The two playoff teams that you faced, you had the same amount of points as you had against Florida. If you're Michael Van Buren. Ole Miss was your best game offensively, I guess, against a ranked opponent, and you lost. With an interim coordinator. and an interim head coach. I mean, it is what it is. Mr. Terps with a $20 super chat says, why is everyone on ESPN game day crying and pleading Kiffin to stay at Ole Miss when John Summerall's in the same position and no one says a word about him leaving a playoff team? Because I think it's a little bit different. Tulane is – see, Ole Miss and LSU being rivals aren't a good thing in all of this. Like North Texas and Oklahoma State came to agreement. Yeah, man, we'll let you coach the playoffs, but he's going to be the next Oklahoma State head coach. Okay. I mean, you can't do it here because Tulane is like, all right, I mean, we don't really have any leverage. It's the leverage play. It's the leverage play. Yeah, we want John to coach our team if you're Tulane through the whole thing. I'm sure they'd be saying the same thing, but they all know that Tulane is not the job like an Auburn or Florida would be, and it's a massive upgrade. I do think LSU is a massive upgrade from Ole Miss. I do. Facilities, recruiting. It is. It is. It's not even close. But I get what you're saying, and I agree. Ricky, I see this $20 super chat. I don't know what that means. We don't really block people. I mean, people are in here calling me a lot of really bad names. So I can't do it. I can't do it. We're not going to do it. Brandon, just leave him alone. Leave him alone. I mean, let YouTube ban him, not us. Not us. Ricky says Ole Miss is going to let Lane Kiffin keep coaching because Ole Miss has never had a year like this. All three rhetoric is just distracting. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's really distracting. I mean, it's their biggest leverage play, in my opinion. If they want to keep Lane Kiffin, look, man, you can't sign a contract and coach here. It's their biggest leverage. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. So it is what it is there. It is what it is. Guitar George with a $2 super chat says, F him, tell him to go to hell and let's move on. I don't think you should do that. I really don't. I think if this thing got to late Sunday, fine. We're not there yet. I mean, it's really just like if you're sitting here for 24 hours from now, there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm with you. Right now, you don't need to. You don't need to. AO has been a member for a month. He says, how did play calling get worse? They can all go. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're having a guy that's trying to call someone else's offense. Like Alex Atkins is having to call he's having to call Joe Sloan's offense, which he's like, I don't know. I'm sure it's like reading a book in Spanish. Like you might know some of the words and some of the things that you could try to do here, but you can't rewrite the whole language overnight. Can't really do it at all. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody other than Frank should be close to being retained, personally. Michael Holton with a $200 super chat. First off, this is the biggest super chat that I think that we've ever gotten. Thank you, Micah. That is freaking awesome. I am greatly humbled. I am greatly honored that you have sent a $200 super chat. Micah, text me or DM me, not text me. DM. Don't text the number up here. DM me your address. DM me your address. Wherever you DM me earlier today, I think you DM me earlier today. DM me, I'm going to send you something. Thank you. This is freaking awesome. I am grateful for you doing this. Thank you so much. He says, longtime listener, love the integrity, facts, and inside scoop. Keep doing your thing, brother. Thank you, dude. That is awesome. You know, the relationships that we have kind of built along the way here have been probably something that is the craziest thing for me. I personally, like, I never thought it would be like this, to be real. I never, where people are, sending in $200 super chats. Micah, man, I greatly appreciate that, dude. Really, I do. Thank you so much, man. That is humbling. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I know that I'm not. I am brash. Sometimes I aggravate the shit out of people. I get it. Not for everybody. I try to be as honest as I can, as much as I can. I'm not going to hold my tongue for really anything. I don't think it's my job to hold my tongue for anything. I got to thank our partners over at FanDuel. They don't tell me shit. Like, hey, man, it's your show. We want to be along with the ride with you. Believe the same way. And then all of you, man, being in here, it's a very, very humbling experience. Micah, man, I'm grateful. DM me your address. I'm going to send you something. Tiger Bait with a $10 super chat says, Bake, LSU lost this game. Offensively, we were horrible. We were horrible, especially on third down. Yeah, I think, what were we, 1 for 12 on third down? Just abysmal. Oklahoma did not dominate this game at all. Not sure why Michael Van Buren did not lose his legs more to move the ball. I don't know. And I'm not that's a great point. And I thought that they should have, if you were asking me, I would have spread the ball out more. Go vertical. Try to get vertical. Like, let Van Buren try to climb up in the pocket. Go 5 wide. Spread him out. Hit him with a couple of QB draws. I don't know why they didn't utilize his legs more, especially after the long 23-yard run. So, I don't know. Ricky Pope, big time Ricky here, sending a lot of super chats. Thank you, buddy. Says a lot of people on here are like the tree picture where you asked, what do you see? Either a woman or old woman or a beautiful woman. So what is everybody looking at? The good, the bad. Probably your answer is a lot like your decision in life. Yeah, I mean, look, man, do I think that you have a lot of really good core pieces that could come back here? Yes. I think of like Carius Kern, Harlan Berry, Caden Durham. I really liked what I saw this fall from like Manchild and Phillip Wright. You got to rebuild along the offensive line. Dude, your secondary next year, think about this. Your secondary could be Deshaun Spears, DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, and maybe Finney. Like, then you go get a strong safety. If it's not like Joel Rogers or somebody. I mean, you got a lot of really good pieces. You're going to have to replace your entire defensive line, which is going to be a brutal task. I don't know what Don McKinley does. You got 1 Week's brother that's gone. Is Witt gone? Like, there's a lot of really good pieces, but you got a lot of things going on here. You do. Ricky Pope says, Tennessee fans, the safety colors are not saving your train wreck. I'm not sure 1,000%, Ricky, what that means. Victor the Third with a $2 super chat says, man, I hope we can keep DJ. Me too. Yeah, me too. Scone said it was a 4-hour meeting. Well, Ole Miss media went to the facility and nobody was there. And nobody was there. So what does that mean? Are they even still in a meeting? Who knows? Maybe they are. BK Boone reported about an hour and a half ago, Brandon, right? That the AD thing, that Kiffin wasn't there earlier in the day, wasn't it? Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? That's a long-ass meeting. If it is. So it started at 3. Well, it ain't no 4-hour meeting. It's a 5-hour meeting. They're still there. But Ole Miss guys had reported it, said his car was there, then it wasn't there, then it was there. Who all knows? $20 super chat from Ricky Pope says, computer is as good as a programmer. Like being said, or maybe a lot of you need an upgrade. The offense certainly needs an upgrade. Rodney Scott with a $5 super chat says, if Lane Kiffin is coming, do you think He will return Ed Orgeron. It's a hell of a texting there. Yes, I do. Or a hell of a recruiter, he says. Yes, I do. I do think that Ed would return. There's a reason why Ed released some of the things that he released, and their camp did do it. I've been honest with that. The Zenitz report, the Arkansas thing, that came from Panamsky. I'm not guessing. So, I mean, do I think he would return? Yes. And I think Ed would do a lot of things Lane didn't, and I still love Ed. I mean, he did a lot of bad things here, but I mean, I don't know how much trouble he could get into, to be honest with you. He could do a lot of the things that Lane probably doesn't want to do and can keep all the relationships inside of Louisiana. I mean, it would be a great hire. It'd be a really good hire. And Ed can, and here's the thing about Ed. Go give Ed Orgeron money. Listen, I don't even know if I should say this. Scott sabotaged Ed a little bit at the end. Actually, a lot at the end. But yes, I do think he would come back, personally. I hope he does. Michael Moore says, every time you pause with a $5 super chat, I feel like you're about to announce big news. Well, that's where we sit, brother. Michael, that's where we sit. Some guys were messing with me. They know how to fuck with me, I guess. I don't know. One of them I just don't think knew. But, yeah, I mean, it's where we sit, brother. It's where we sit. Stephen Young with a $5 super chat says, if Lane comes to LSU and Chambliss is gained his extra year of eligibility, LSU might both get Chambliss and Simmons in the portal. I don't think Simmons sits another year, but I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, he might get his extra year of eligibility. That would be massive if he got his extra year of eligibility. If he follows Lane, if he does come, you still got to go get a couple of quarterbacks out of the portal, though, or flip somebody. Texas Vet with a $10 super chat says, I really think he is stalling out to get recruits from Florida, Arkansas, Auburn, and LSU. I just think this is the biggest trolling Lane is doing. I want him, but let's get it over with. Hashtag come to the boot. I don't think it's trolling. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. I really don't. Rusty says, Marcona is the MVP of LSU reporting news. Appreciate the super chat. Kevin sends a $10 super chat. Didn't have anything in it, but thank you for the support anyway. Greatly appreciate it. SLU Lions 07, who's been a member for 2 months on the YouTube channel, says, retool the offense. Defense is good. Go Tigers. Well, you're going to have to retool the defense too. You're going to have to retool the defense too, especially up front, in your front seven. Secondary, you could be all right. You could be all right. Thin Red Line Wife with a $5 super chat says he deleted about the Egg Bowl win and outgained walking halls of Ole Miss. Would you let him coach if you're Ole Miss? I think it's on them. So this is what I would do. I would say, Lane, are you staying? And he goes, I don't know. All right. I would see what LSU does until Tuesday. And if he ultimately made the move and LSU forced his hand and he left and said, he got announced that he was going to LSU, I would then fire him. But it puts them in a bad spot. I mean, I don't know how they're seeing it. If I wanted to keep him, I would, because I think there's a chance like they promote Pete Golding anyway. And I mean, I would be talking to John Summerall. I'd be talking to other candidates and saying, hey, I mean, you're going to have a firm date. But, I mean, it's their biggest leverage to kind of let this thing play out a little bit. I mean, if they could let this play out till Monday and Lane Kiffin and LSU just says, listen, man, we got to make a move here. What are we going to do? Again, whoever blinks first. It's going to be insane. But Lane could look at LSU and say, hey, man, you didn't wait on me. It's not on me. It's on you. You didn't wait on me. I wanted to come. I told you I was coming. I mean, it's what he could essentially say. Guitar with a $5 super chat says, you and Carter are my lifeline back to Louisiana. Y'all are my cup of tea. My dad and I both went to Southeastern. Okay. And I also went to a tech. Appreciate you. Thank you, George. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, me and Carter. Thick as thieves. Red line, or thin red line. I'm just going to call you Red Line. Red Line with a $2 super chat says, sorry, typo about his dad. Yeah. So listen, Red Line brings up a good point here. I thought the realest thing that Lane said in all of this is that he wishes his dad was here to help him through this. I do think Lane, guys, it's not a troll job. I think Lane wants to leave. Here, I'll just say it. Guys, he wants to be at LSU. I've heard that he wants to be at LSU. That's the bottom line. I've heard that Lane wants to be here. He's so worried about his image and leaving this team that he's getting crushed for it. And I think he has done a lot to change his personality. Diet, not drinking. I think he has changed. I think you can't look at the Lane Kiffin 6 years ago and tell me that this dude's not different. I mean, you can't. But I get to a situation where it's like everybody's crushing him in the media saying that, he hadn't changed. And I think he cares about that kind of stuff. He's the same old Lane Kiffin. And then deep down, he's like, man, I'm not, though. I guess lions don't care about what sheep think. Tigers don't care about what sheep think. But I think he cares about it. It's like, look, man, because of the calendar, I'm put in an impossible situation. I think LSU is a better job. I think it can get to me to where I ultimately want to go. But over here, I have all these kids. I have a team that can make the playoff. This is my best coaching job of all time. And people are killing me for it. They're killing me for it. Kat with a $2 super chat says, who does Lane bring from Ole Miss if he comes? That I don't know. I mean, if Pete Colton's not retained, what happens there? I don't know who he'd bring. I have no clue. The first thing that I've worried about through all the Kat, let me say it like this. I have a pretty good idea about the conversations they've had, about some of the guys offensively that he wants to bring. And I think it would solve a lot of your problems. I'll just leave it there. With that being said, I don't think it's all worked out. I don't. Kevin with a $10 super chat says, do you think LSU is Summerall's first choice? No, I don't. And is he waiting on Kiffin to see when his is done? No, they had a game today. And so I think he's waiting until his next day to make a decision. I don't know what John's doing. I have no clue. Do you think Farmers? I don't. I think Auburn is ultimately his first choice until Auburn shit the bed. I think Florida and I still think Auburn, but I think Florida and Ole Miss would be his choices. I don't think he wants to go to Auburn. Dex says they met at the AD's house. Yes. Nako's reported that they met at his house. So, yes. See what happens, man. It's a long-ass meeting. Worries the shit out of me. Wyndham with a $5 super chat says, listening from South Georgia, love your shows. Go Tigers. Thank you, man. Or lady. But thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I really, really do. Chef88 with a $5 super chat says, why wouldn't Lane keep Corey, OM's current DB coach, is he OM alum, easily replaceable? I just say that just in case, really and truthfully. Like, I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't keep him. That part I have no clue. Yeah, that part I have zero clue. I have no clue. It would make no sense to me not to. I think he should because of you shouldn't risk that secondary. with all the pieces that you got coming back. And you got to go get a safety. I mean, it's a really good room, man. It's a really, 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 really good room. So I don't think he would, nor he should. Stephen Young with a $5 super chat says, should LSU wait it out? You don't hold the line this long to give up. Screw the signing day, portal window. This is a long game. All right, so we've answered this from an Ole Miss side of things. If this got to Tuesday, I mean, because if you let it get to signing day, you'll let it go through the playoff. I mean, like, because I guess technically they could hit the portal. But kids know that we're going after Lane Kiffin. So, I mean, the portal thing would be a big deal here. That's a bigger problem, especially because you don't have quarterback depth. I mean, it could hurt a lot of things here for you. It really could. It's a good question, Steven. It's a good question. If you're asking me, I'm probably waiting till Monday. But I need to know where things stand. And listen, where do things stand after this meeting with Keith Carter? Is this shit done tonight? You know, what's funny? Who wants to bet that Keith Carter and them in this meeting, they're watching this Alabama game to see what happens? Or they could walk out of that meeting and say he's staying. And if that happens, you better pivot quickly. You better pivot quickly. So, yeah. Tiger Bait with a $5 super chat says, if Lane Kiffin does not come, does LSU still have a chance with John Summerall at Tulane? I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I do not know. I don't know that. I don't know that. So, yeah. Andy, God bless it. Got two of them. Andy with a $200 super chat says, I echo Micah. Keep doing your thing, Blake, with passion. Thank you so much. Well, Andy, thank you, man. It means a lot. It is very humbling. So, two $200 super chats tonight, man. Thank you so much. That is awesome. I cannot thank you enough for that, man. Seriously, I can't. Andy, send me your address as well. I'm going to send you something. Thank you so much. Andy, make sure. Micah, make sure. And I see another one. Lucas, make sure. When you DM me, say, hey, I'm Andy. I gave you, the super chat from Oklahoma game. Thank you guys, man. It is very humbling. I cannot tell you how humbling it is. It really, really, really is. It means the world to me, man. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Lucas with a $200 super chat says, who blinks first in your opinion? I would say Ole Miss blinks first. First off, Lucas, thank you so much. DM me your address. I'm sending you something. I greatly appreciate it, Lucas. I really, really, really do. I think Ole Miss blinks first. Because why would LSU right now? I mean, to Steven's point earlier, you've come this far. Like, why would you blink? I mean, if you got to Monday, I'm going to start getting really nervous. Really, 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 really nervous. But I'm a nervous Nelly right now. I feel that LSU thinks he's coming. It's a long fucking meeting. You can't convince me that they've had they're watching the Bama game, dude. They're watching the Bama game. You can't convince me otherwise. I think Ole Miss is going to blink first because their fan base wants answers now. Like, I don't know how Ole Miss people, once this meeting quote unquote is concluded. Like when Lane Kiffin walks out of that AD's house with quote unquote boots on the ground and he leaves, questions are going to be had. Like, what if the media goes to the man's door? and he leaves, or what happens if Lane Kiffin leaves the room or leaves the house and the Ole Miss media charge him? Lane, what is your decision? What is your decision? Now, if I'm Lane Kiffin and I leave that house and the media bombard me, I'm saying, listen, guys, I haven't had a chance to talk to my family about the decision that we've just made. I want to go home and talk to my family and tell them what's going on, and then we'll let you know. That's how I'd handle it. But LSU can't blink. But if this shit goes sideways, you better pivot quickly. I mean, because Florida's got a lot of steam with John Summerall. Like, Auburn does, it seems like they got some stuff with Golish. What happens with Lincoln Riley? All those questions I don't know. All right, Lucas, Micah, Andy, DM me your addresses. I can't thank you guys so much, man. It's been awesome. Shaquan with a $20 super chat says, didn't agree at all with the Florida guy that Florida is a bigger brand than LSU. He also says, thought you handled it very professional and went easy on him, and you brought up great points throughout the whole podcast. Thank you. Yeah, they wanted to debate. You know, the BK and them ultimately settled for their original price, but they settled. I just don't. I was listening to their show last night. They did not want to hear that Lane Kiffin wasn't coming. And we've gone this whole show not talking about Florida. First off, Scott Strickland should be fired now. He should have fired Billy Napier last year and gone and gotten Lane Kiffin. He would have had him all to himself. He would have gone to Florida. I shouldn't say would have gone to Florida. I mean, Florida had a chance to get him now. They missed on him twice. That's the big deal here. Secondly, Florida doesn't understand where Florida is. That, like, we're the bigger brand. No. And they said they're alumni based. That doesn't make you a bigger brand. Like, hey, man, you got more alumni than us, and we have 1 million followers on Twitter and Instagram, and you don't have half of that. Who's the bigger brand? Guys, in today's world, think about this. That's like me saying I'm a bigger brand than Pat Mac. Well, maybe not that big. I don't know. I don't know who my equal would be. Like, think of who you think my equal would be. And they say, oh, I'm not a bigger brand, or not even an equal to me. They're not really equal, but somebody who's just starting off in podcasting. Oh, I'm just as equal as Blake Ruffino. Well, I have more followers than you in a social media game. Like, that doesn't make sense. Now, I think numbers can lie in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of people watch this show more than other LSU shows. I mean, numbers don't lie there, but you get my point. You get the point I'm trying to make here. LSU 205 with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Nick with a $5 super chat says, sorry, my $5 isn't worth $200. We take and appreciate greatly any super chat, brother. He says, but I got 2 kids and Christmas around the corner. Love your show and all the hard work you do. Man, that's just as much. And for that, Nick, send me your address. Stephen Young, no more addresses. But thank you. Doesn't matter how big or how small. That's what she didn't say. Stephen Young with a $5 super chat says, if Lane told Carter he's staying, Ole Miss would have it posted within 60 seconds. Yeah, and the question becomes, what's all going on in there? You know, what are they working out? That's the big question. That's the big question. All right, last one that we're getting out of here. 2-hour show here. Fred with a $10 super chat says, if Lane Kiffin views Ole Miss as a stepping stone like all of us do, then imagine turning down LSU knowing they're just the right guy away from turning into a monster. It can be. He is coming. Fred, I think that's the most logical thing anybody said, myself included, all day. I think he knows. I think when he's put in a rock and a hard place, he knows. He knows. But you're 1,000% right there. 1,000% right. That's why it's gotten this far. That's why it's gotten this far. All right. We'll see y'all soon. We might even see you later tonight. Who knows? Till then, peace.